Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Balma, and today for my diversity presentation project, I will be presenting on Somalia, Somali students, Somali Americans, um, and first, I'll start off by talking a little bit about where Somalia is. So, Somalia is the easternmost country in continental Africa. You can So on the map, it is I pinpointed on that easternmost point there, and it stretches across the Horn of Africa. Its capital is Mogadishu, and the official languages are Somali and Arabic. Unfortunately, Somalia is experiencing an ongoing 30-year civil war. Right now, there are 19 million people that live in Somalia. Next, I'll talk a little bit about Somali, uh, Somali people's immigration to America. So, because of instability in Somalia, people have been deemed refugees because of a civil war that began here in 1991. What followed were years of political instability in the region and Somalia. Right now, Somalia faces instability due to ongoing conflicts with armed groups like Al-Shabaab, and there's also political fragmentation and long-standing issues like clan rivalries. And in the present day, there's problems that are exacerbated by the climate crisis, drought, extreme heat, hunger, and displacement. After Somali people leave Somalia, they might settle in Kenya or Ethiopia because those are neighboring countries before they come to the United States, or before they might come to the United States. And once they get to the United States, sometimes Minneapolis, if they are deciding to come to Minnesota, as it is one of the largest hubs for Somali people first immigrating to Minnesota or first immigrating to the United States. They might face trauma from fleeing countries in war. They might see some things that are deeply disturbing, and they often need mental health care, but sometimes it might go untreated because it is trivialized and not deemed appropriate to seek the care that they need. And now, 30 years after, or 34 years after the Civil War started in 1991, we've seen contentment in Minnesota with Somali representation in the workforce. There's Somali representation in the political arena and in our neighborhoods. In Minneapolis, there's a neighborhood, Cedar Riverside, which is nicknamed Little Mogadishu because there are a lot of Somali people that live here, and they've made it a cultural capital, which is an amazing thing and quite delicious. So, in Minnesota, there are 80,000 to 100,000 Somali immigrants and their children living here. Primarily, these people live in Minneapolis and St. Paul and the surrounding suburbs, but they also live throughout Minnesota. Next, I'll talk a little bit about Somali educational attainment for those that are older than 25. So, of Somali people living in Minnesota, 40.6% have less than a high school diploma, and 26.9% have a high school diploma. 16.2% of Somali people older than 25 have or some college experience or an associate's degree. And 12.9% have a bachelor's degree. 3.4% have a graduate or professional degree. So in total, Somali educational attainment for those that are 25 years old, nearly 60%, 59.4% to be precise, have a high school diploma or higher education. And this is data from the MN Compass report published in 2023. Next, I'll talk about cultural practices of Somali people in Minnesota. So, nearly all Somalis and Somali Americans are Sunni Muslims. Some of the holidays that they celebrate are Eid, which marks the end of Ramadan, which is the end of a fast. Um, Another one is Somalia's Independence Day, celebrated in June, and Republic Day, which is celebrated in July. Something to keep in mind as an educator is that during these holidays, families and students may fast, and it is important that you support them through these times, and you can even uh, direct them away from the lunchroom um, during lunch if they are fasting. Um, there may be a prayer area that they are able to access. Um, and yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Some more cultural practices are that Somali names have three parts. What that means is their first name is specific to them. For example, my name is Brandon, so my first name would be Brandon. Their second name would be their father's name. My father's name is Brian. So right now my name is Brandon Brian. And the third name is the person's grandfather's name. So my grandfather's name is Michael. So, for example, my name would be Brandon Brian Michael. Married women are expected to cover their bodies as well as their hair. Um, and this is prescribed by Muslim tradition. And in Somalia, some Somali women wear veils to cover their faces, but few do it in the United States, as many find this a difficult custom to adhere to in our society in America. Um, and many social norms are derived from Islamic tradition, in Somali cultural practices. So it may be similar to other Islamic countries. One common way to greet someone is to say Salam alaikum, which is roughly translated to God bless you, and then to shake their hand. Um, Some popular foods included are Somalian sambusas, which includes spring roll wrappers, and those are filled with seasoned ground beef, onion, and leek. You can also get them in vegetable form, and personally, I love those. There's also sabayan, which is a flatbread. There's baris is kukaris, which is a spice rice that is often served with banana. And here are some community resources that, as an educator, I can direct families towards or access myself. There's the Minnesota Somali Community Center, which provides supports and resources for issues that Somali communities face in Minnesota. They offer services like tutoring for students, workforce development, so helping with resumes and other job applications, addiction help, financial services, and they advocate on behalf of communities. There's also um, Sabathani Community Center, which is one of Minnesota's oldest African American founded nonprofits. Some services that they provide are food distribution, clothing closets, youth programming, housing services, and health and wellness services. There is some more information at the links there if you would like to learn more. One hot button question that many people in Minnesota have is how did Minneapolis become the largest Somali diaspora in the country? And the first answer to that is quite simple, which is often why many refugees and immigrants move to the United States, and that is to seek jobs. In fact, the first Somalis to relocate to Minnesota or they relocated to Marshall, Minnesota to find work in a turkey processing plant. Secondly, we have the infrastructure to support immigrants and refugees. Um, starting in, starting since the 20th century, Catholic charities and Lutheran organizations have helped communities, including the Somali community, resettle and assimilate into the Twin Cities primarily. And it's a wonderful thing. There are also thriving social networks that are strong in this state, specifically in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood in Minneapolis, Lake Street in Minneapolis, and throughout our state. I've included some resources that I've accessed here and here. All right, I would like to thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.